Hi, my name's Bo Cook. I'm a garden designer based in Sussex and I also teach Vectorworks. And I'm just doing a short little series of misunderstood and underused Vectorworks tools while we're all in lockdown. It gives us an opportunity to all brush up our skills and remind ourselves how things are done. When we're taught, there is so much in Vectorworks that we end up having to take on board, and sometimes it's too much, and it's quite easy to forget that there are tools. It's quite easy to forget that there are modes of tools that are going to be useful. So I wanted to share these with you. So today I'm actually just going to be showing you a mode in a tool, and it's a tool that you often use, and I just want to show you one of the modes that actually I wasn't taught straight away. It was the lovely Tamsin Slatter who finally got around to showing me this tool, and I have to say changed the way I work. So we're going to be looking at the inner boundary mode, which lives in the polygon tool. Some of you are going to know about this, but some of you won't. So I just want to talk you through how it works. So the inner boundary mode will fill in and create a shape based on on outlines, and all those outlines have to touch. They have to cross each other. They also have to be accessible by Vectorworks. So if they're not all in the same layer, then it won't recognize them. Or if it's not in the same layer, like mine is, I've got some in building, and then I've got some objects in outlines. You are going to have to temporarily work in Show, Snap, Modify, Others. This is not a place to work in if you're fairly new to Vectorworks, because you're much more likely to make mistakes, errors, lose work, delete objects, get things in the wrong place. So I don't recommend using this on a permanent basis unless you're extremely confident with Vectorworks. So what I would recommend now, if you're going to use this tool, is to very, very quickly, temporarily pop into Show, Snap, Modify, Others over in the navigation bar. So what I'm going to do is to grab the polygon tool, which is where this inner boundary mode lives. We've got the vertex mode, we have the inner boundary mode, and then we also have an outer boundary mode, which I'll show you another time. So today we are going to use this inner boundary, and it's going to fill the space within the boundary. So I'm just going to click into this shape here, and you can see it's filled it in. I can click here, I can click here. Do you see? Nice and simple. I haven't had to draw anything, I haven't had to trace anything. It's absolutely it's essential. I use this tool all the time. Excuse me. But what I also want to show you is, I don't know if you noticed, but these are all separate shapes. So you're going to have to then select them all and modify add surface if you want them all to join together, or do this. So I've clicked in using the inner boundary mode into that shape there. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and then I'm going to click to the shape next door. And what that does is it creates the shape next door, but it also effectively adds surface at the same time. So I'm still holding down the Shift key. I'm just going to click through, and there we go. It's filled up that whole shape. You can see here, again, obviously the door is in the way. So I hold down Shift key, and then it will fill in that space. Now what I do want to show you is, I'm just going to take this out for a minute. What I want to show you is when it doesn't work. So there will be times you'll be clicking on your drawing like, why is it not working? Why is it not filling in that space? Now if that happens, it will either be because one of these objects is in another layer and you're not working in Show, Snap, Modify, Others, or there's a gap, and that gap has caused a leak, and because Vectorworks is essentially affinity space, it won't fill it all up because there's no outline for it to fill inside. So if this happens and you're clicking away, nothing's going on, first of all double check whether or not all your shapes are either in the same layer or you're working in Show, Snap, Modify, Others. And if you are and everything looks good, then just zoom in and have a little look around your drawing, and you might find that there's a gap. I've deliberately obviously put one here, so I'm going to just pull that down. I might just put my door swing back in. Then I'm going to select this object, hold down Shift key, oops, pick up the inner boundary mode, click next door. Okay, right, now another thing I wanted to show you was making a square. I know that sounds pretty obvious, you just pick up the rectangle tool and make a square, but sometimes you're just in a hurry. So you don't want to tab in the numbers the X and the Y. It might be on a job like this where you have spent a long time lining everything up. You've worked out your center lines, you've worked out your alignment lines, you've got all of the, you know exactly where the proportions are, you know exactly where you're wanting to start your paving from, which is an example like I've used here. I've really, the design really strongly links to the house in this example. So it might be that you have this rectangle terrace. So you could just pull down here and see that it's minus 2995. So you could tab in and type 2995 here. But also what you can do is just hold down the Shift key. I'm going to hold down the Shift key. Again, the Shift key is our friend today. And you can see that it's actually locked the proportion. So I can't do anything but draw a square if I hold down the Shift key. So I can drag my mouse down to this line here and click, and now I have a perfect square. You can see over in Object Info it's 2995, width and the height is 2995. Let me just finish this job then. So I'm just going to quickly draw this path here, joining up the two. I'm not sure exactly what the width is going to be because I've got to align it up with this terrace here. So I'm going to go over to the Object Info. I want to double it now. So the width here is showing up as 416. I want to double it so it sits over the center line essentially. So I'm going to put my black dot here because I want it to extend to the left. And then on the width, I'm just going to put times 2 because I want it to be twice as wide. And I'll press enter, and that's my path. Then I can just quickly add surface to that. And then I can select both of those objects, click into the middle, and that's my path joining the two. So I'm just going to change my class to planting areas because I want to show you how really quickly I can whiz around now and get all of my planting beds in. So I've selected the inner boundary mode. I've checked my Show Snap Modifier Others is on, and I am going to do my first shape, and then I'm holding down the Shift key, just going to carry on clicking around, still holding down Shift key, and there we have it. So that is an example of where I've used the inner boundary mode very, very quickly. I haven't had to trace anything using the vertex mode of the polygon tool. I've used the Shift key to add them together. As I've clicked, I have used the rectangle tool and held down again the Shift key to make a rectangle, a pure square, sorry, not a rectangle. And then I went back and used the inner boundary mode again just to put in those borders that go around the outside. So very quickly, that was how I've got that design in. And I just wanted to show you actually what the real design was. There's a little bit more detail to it. There's a few offsets and things like that. But essentially, how easy was that? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of time in the design in the background before we get to it, but the actual drawing of that was a lot quicker than it can be. Right, I hope that was helpful. Again, if you want anything in particular, give me a shout, post below, like the post, make some comments, and I will see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.